Hello and welcome to your weekly foxtrot across the dance floor of the world of electric cars from the team at electrifying.com. On the podcast this week, we'll be discussing the brand that is giving Volvo's accountants utter nightmares. And we will be asking a very important question. Game shows, the new motor shows.
You're back, Ginny. You're back and in person. You're in the country. It's amazing.
I am back. I'm Ginny. Welcome to the Kilowatt Half Hour.
Oh, I'm Tom.
Yeah, he's Tom.
There's something we have to do before we start.
What?
Have you got enough water?
I have. Oh yeah, I did.
This is something we have to do at the beginning of every podcast.
I didn't. I listened. I laughed so much at the last podcast. If you haven't watched last week's podcast, please go listen to it. It's hilarious. We've been now told we need to be fully hydrated.
Yeah, otherwise it makes our voices sound funny. Now this is it looks like some sort of home brew, but it's actually just water.
It's not. It's not. It's full of vodka. Yeah, you can be open with people, Tom. It's fine. I've got my blag. I love a blag. As Nicola fairly established. It's got my name on it.
Where did that come from? Was that a freebie from a manufacturer?
Of course it was. I haven't bought a water bottle or a pen. Well, I've been doing this job for over 25 years. The water bottles came in about 3 years ago, I reckon. We all started getting water bottles on launches. I must, over the last 3 years, have collected, I bet, 25. And there's only 2 currently in my house, and that's because I have a teenage son. Somewhere in the last property at his school, lots and lots of very nice water bottles from manufacturers.
Yeah, my son had his Polestar one pinched.
Oh, you said that on the you said that on the podcast. That's outrageous.
And they're just like, who else would have one? Did your dad go on the launch as well? So, anyway. Yeah.
We did have a couple of comments in on the subject of water bottles and blags and various things like that. Russell Gilchrist messaged on YouTube to say, Nicola looked like she was having a drink out of the water bottle. Did you have Prosecco in it by any chance? Knowing Nicola, she probably did.
Yeah.
Yep. And Ray Jones?
Ray Jones says, I collect biros on product launches. A great freebie.
They are. Honestly, I don't think... Oh, I had to buy biros recently.
No.
It was so gross. I was literally livid. So we're in that awful situation where really last minute, and it was my dad's birthday, and I hadn't sent the card, no pen in my bag, and I always have a pen, and my house is awash with biros from product launches. So no pen, bought the card, went to them in WH Smith and said, I haven't got a pen, don't suppose I could borrow a pen. So sent me over to the biros, which you can only buy in sets of 4.
How much is a biro now?
It was about £4.60.
Wow.
£4.60. So in the end, I put the card back and the biro back, and I went to the little card shop around the corner, and they bought my card from them, and they let me use the pen. I'm not spending £4.60 on biros. Outrageous.
When I was a kid, my mum worked in a doctor's surgery, so she used to bring home all these pens that were had drug companies on them. So go to school with Preparation H pen or something, and now it's car manufacturers, so slightly more credibility.
What's the best or weirdest blag you've ever had on a launch?
I got a weird one this week actually on the Omoda launch.
Okay.
So
wasn't a scantily clad woman, was it?
No, it wasn't. There was a bit of an outrage about the scantily clad women.
We'll come back to that in a minute. Yeah.
But it looked like it was like a fake carbon fibre case, so it looked like something really high tech, like a Bluetooth speaker or something. And you open it up, and it was a Chinese tea set.
Oh,
I'll put a picture.
That's quite nice.
Not terribly useful. I don't use Chinese tea sets that often.
What's the difference between a normal, good old cup of tea, north of England tea set and a Chinese tea set?
Well, if you go to a Chinese restaurant and you ask for the tea, the green tea at the end, little delicate ones.
Okay. No, you definitely don't. Look at these in those hands. You don't want...
No, I need big mug, big builder's mug, yeah.
So the weird, the strangest blag I've ever had was a shower curtain. Did you ever go on when they brought the Volkswagen Beetle back?
Yeah.
And I'm going back quite a while now. Yeah. They took us all to Wolfsburg, and they built these kind of dormitories that we stayed in.
Yeah.
And each one we had our own VW bedding. With the beetle and a big daisy embroidered on, because if you remember, it had the flower thing, and so you were encouraged to put your little flower in your
wasn't it?
Gerber, the yellow Gerber. And then there was a shower curtain, and it was made up of pockets, all these different bits, clear plastic, and in these pockets were really random things like a Pez. Do you remember Pez?
Yeah.
Like flip a Pez, flip head thing with sweets in, like mini beetle shaped rubbers were in some, like eraser rubbers, I hasten to add. And then just biros, bit of soap in another one, all this random stuff. And you were encouraged to take your shower curtain and your bedding home, which of course I did because I'm a journalist and everything comes home. Everything goes in the bag. I'll take all of it. It's still in my garage.
Really?
And I keep thinking, what am I going to do with it? Do I just throw it away? But I've kept it for so long. I'm quite...
Probably have a value on eBay, won't it? There'll be,
I doubt it. I've still got boxes of press packs and stuff like that in my garage.
It's your retirement fund.
I doubt
put it all on eBay
who's
once.
Who's going to want that? Anyway, shall we move on
Sorry,
to modern
yes.
day?
Yeah.
What have you been driving? What's news?
I have been driving a PHEV this week, and I haven't.
Okay.
I haven't driven a PHEV in a while. Some of you may remember, if you've been listening, that I took my son to university. I needed something big that would take 4 people.
Yes.
And I just went through the list of what we needed to drive for the website, and the biggest thing was a Volkswagen Touareg plug-in hybrid.
Good choice.
And I mean, it's nice. But it's strange being in a PHEV again because there's an engine.
Yeah.
And it's quite a smooth engine. It's not like a diesel that's clattering. But if you drive 25 miles, which I do just to drop my other son at a party, then you need to plug it in. Now, if you're in an electric car and you do 25 miles, you're not going to need to plug in for 10 days.
It's not. Is it enough range? 25 miles in a PHEV? It's not, is it?
No. So, and also it means it's not that efficient. So on the drive up to Leeds, fully charged there. And it was doing 34 to the gallon in total with that electricity, so that's not great.
It's not
but the other interesting thing was I plugged in when I got there at a public charging point in a multi-storey and thought, well, I'll do that so I'll get the better economy on the way home. What it didn't say was the price of charging. So it was 74p a kilowatt. This is at a Q Park in Leeds.
That's a lot, isn't it? That's Instavolt prices,
Yeah.
isn't it?
So a full charge on this Volkswagen was £9.38
For 25 miles.
for 25 miles. So it would have been much cheaper. It would have been half the price if I'd have put petrol in it, which is a real shame.
It is a shame. I mean, A, I think PHEVs only make sense if you can charge at home.
Yep.
And B, they do have to have, for me, a usable range. And for that, I reckon 50, 60 miles.
Yeah.
I think anything under that, I just don't see the point, really. I think you may as well, if you know, I never want anyone to not switch to electric because I think electric cars are great, but I think without that you're better off just getting an efficient petrol car, personally.
The other strange thing about it, I mean, it's an SUV, but so it's high up and all that, but there's not that much room in it. I mean, there's more room in your favourite car, which we can't mention because people get upset, but
I can mention the Enyaq.
Yeah, but there would be more legroom and more.
Yeah, absolutely. The other thing about the Touareg, because we're all filming today at our lovely barn that we use in Oxfordshire, which is very nice, and the sun's out. It's lovely. Nicola's over there filming with a white van. I think it suits her.
It does suit her.
Really,
yeah.
I think she could pass for a white van woman. Anyway, electric van reviews coming soon. Yeah, watch out for that. Where were we? Colour. So it's parked up charging, and it's one of those matte colours, that matte grey. Now, I used to think they're awful, and I don't know what's happened to me, because I've just come out from Korea, and I saw an awful lot of Hyundais in this matte green colour, which looked really nice. And I pulled up this morning and saw that and thought, quite like matte paint colours. You're not convinced?
Well, my 17-year-old said that car, which is matte grey with black 22-inch wheels, is the coolest car I've ever brought home. And I have brought home some quite cool cars.
I'm down with the kids, Tom.
Yeah, maybe.
You're just too old. It's me and the kids that like matte cars. What do you reckon?
I just want to go out and tea-cut it. So let us know what you think.
do.
Pro satin paint or not?
Yes, pro. Good.
What have you been driving?
What have I been driving? Well, I've been to Korea to drive the Kia EV3.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
So that was a big drive. Spent a bit of time in the Mini Countryman. And I have also driven, with much excitement, the Hyundai Insta. So I can talk about two of those, one I can't. So I can't talk about the Insta yet, but there'll be a video coming to the channel soon. We're not sure when that embargo is lifting. So that one, lips are sealed, threw away the key, all of that.
You can't even give us a...
What you thinking?
Don't risk it.
I can't risk it, can I? I might get banned from Korea.
Yeah.
Never allowed to enter again.
At Seoul Airport.
Although Seoul Airport, they are the friendliest customs people. Much nicer than America. America always scares me. I always feel like I'm doing something wrong when I go to America. Anyway, back to the Kia EV3. Drove the Kia EV3. Unfortunately, I was very sick the first day, so I missed a whole day's driving in the Kia EV3. So apart from one very unpleasant drive where I was actually being sick, so that was a bit of a write-off. Next day I drove it properly, and it is so good. It's really good. I mean, we knew everything there was to know anyway about that car. There's a really thorough walk-around video over at electrifying.com and also on the YouTube channel. So we knew all about the great levels of technology and the space that it's got, class-leading boot space, all of this stuff, and it looks good as well. I mean, I remember I sent you some pictures, and you were like, I thought that was the concept.
Yeah, it looks just like the concept.
It looks just like the car. It looks great. It drives really nicely. I don't know yet on efficiency. It was a bit too soon to tell, but it's just such a nice, comfortable ride. It's everything you want from a family car. Easy to drive. Steering just feels really nice. They've tweaked the automatic braking regeneration, which they call their iPedal. So it's got different levels that you can set, and it also automatically syncs to the inbuilt navigation system. It won't work yet with CarPlay or Android Auto, but all of that just works seamlessly. It's one of those very rare cars that we gave 10 out of 10 to. So yeah, it's good.
I've got a question about it.
Go on.
From Paul Tugwell.
Hello, Paul Tugwell.
It says, hi team, I've watched 3 reviews of the Kia EV3 and Ginny's was the best.
Oh, thanks, Paul.
Can you tell me...
Is that Paul, my cousin?
Possibly. Can you tell me if the rear seats fold down? Keep up the good work.
They do, and because of the aforesaid unfortunate sickness, we did only in the end have like 3 hours, 2.5 hours, 3 hours to film the review with. So things like a thorough look at the rear seats got missed, but we do have all that in the walk-around video. So if you've watched the EV3 first drive, where I talk much more about driving impressions, go and check the walk-around video where we talk much more about all the seats. But they do fold down, give even more space. From memory, I think it's only the Megane that tops it on boot space in that kind of class with the seats down. With the seats up, it's class-leading space. So it's got an incredible amount of space in the back, and from memory they do also fold nice and flat. So yes.
We're talking of cars with space. We should probably talk about what we're in.
We're in an interesting car today. So we're an interesting. It's a Model S, which is not the interesting part of it. The interesting part is it's done over 250,000 miles.
I think it's approaching 260,000 miles, isn't it? It drives very well. I mean, there's a few bits that are rattly and a few. The seats are a bit worn in the back, aren't they?
I mean, considering Vicky Parrott's been in it for the last few days,
true.
it's actually.
Sideways,
I was thinking I was expecting to be in a far worse state, but it's all right, isn't it?
It's all right.
I mean, there's not. You look at the kind of the quality, which. So what? How old is this car now? It's
60.
Look on the key.
And it's got a registration, so it's a 65 plate, so 2015, 2016.
So it's 8 years old. It still feels nice. It still feel. There's not too many sort of nasty bits in here. It's been well looked after. The fact that it's still going strong over nearly 260,000 miles should put anyone who is concerned about battery life in electric cars, it should put those worries to rest. And in fact, we're going to be using it for a video that talks much more about that and about lots of stuff, useful stuff about batteries. So that's why we've got it. But yeah, the doors are a bit clunky though, aren't they?
The doors are a bit clunky, make a funny noise, and you have to do... The window doesn't go up anymore, so you have to do that. But that's what you get on old cars. But the interesting thing about this, and the reason that they're still worth a reasonable amount of money, if you look on our used car pages at the used Model S's, this is probably worth about 10 grand. The cheapest I could find was 11, and that had 120,000 miles, is because this is an early car. It still has free supercharging.
I mean,
imagine
kind
free
of
fuel.
It's a no-brainer. So it's got so it's 200,000 miles roughly. Vicky reckons she's getting now.
200 miles.
Sorry,
to the
it's
range,
200 miles. That would be incredible, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Can you imagine? It's 200 miles of real world driving range currently. 10, 11 grand.
Yeah.
It's a lot of range for that money. Plus the free charging and the fact that you've got loads of Tesla chargers and they're reliable and fast.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd be really tempted with this.
Yeah. I'm going to do the sum. I should have done it before now, but someone else can help me if they like, of how much it would have cost to travel 260,000 miles.
If you'd have had to pay for it.
If you'd had to pay for it.
If you
I'll do the sum and I'll put it as a caption.
Okay.
We're talking deals. Shall I do my deal of the week?
Oh, should I just quickly talk about Countryman?
Oh, yes, please do.
Because Countryman, and what I will say is that I think the Countryman is such a brilliant family car. It's great, and it's one of those cars that gives me BMW i3 vibes. That's got a sense of fun about it. It drove really well, so I had it for a few days. I did a swap with Mike. Mike drove it back home to Weymouth. I called him up and said, "What do you think?" And we both said the same thing. It puts a smile on your face, gives you a bit of joy. But it's expensive.
Yeah.
So the car was 40 odd grand. As you'll see, the video is coming soon to the YouTube channel. But that car had like nearly 10 grand's worth of extras on it. It's a lot, isn't it? It's a lot. But it's such a lovely car. But then you kind of think, oh, well, it should be. Is it?
Because I had the normal mini electric with JCW bits on it.
Yes.
And I just found it a bit tiresome.
No, this is just the standard mini
Mini
Countryman. It was no, it was a really nice ride quality. You can put it into go-kart mode, which you get a kind of a woohoo that pops up, and everything just steering just tightens up, and it all gets a bit more engaging, and it's really fun. But no, it wasn't like that at all.
Oh.
I know that made you really grumpy, that car.
Oh,
didn't
it did. I just couldn't be bothered. Yeah.
Honestly, Tom, you showed your age that way.
I know.
You should have sent that to Nicola.
Well,
it's not for old people like us, cars like that. Right, so that's that. Where were we? News? Go on, some news.
Fuel cell news. That's controversial, isn't it?
Don't talk about that, because the comments will just go
boom, boom, boom. Well, explode into our comments. Let us know what you think.
Hydrogen, discuss in the comments below, or drop us an email, podcast@electrifying.com.
Yeah, so BMW have gone into bed with Toyota because I think they both realise that they want to carry on doing hydrogen because they think it's a good thing, but they can't make it work on their own. So they're going to have their boffins working together on it. And they've said that in 2028 there will be a production BMW car based on one of their existing models. They're not going to do a Toyota and do like a Mirai type car that's on its own. So I presume it'll be based on one of those one of those Vision de Neue class.
Yep.
And it'll have a fuel cell instead of a battery. So, well, good luck to them.
Good luck to them. Honda's did the same thing with General Motors recently, didn't they? They've announced a kind of alignment. I think though theirs is to develop looking much more at commercial vehicles. Have you driven when did you first drive a fuel cell vehicle? Because I know you will have driven them. Did you ever drive the Honda that was around in I want to say like early 2000s, like 2001?
I don't think I did. I drove a General Motors one in it's probably around the year 2000. So
yeah, it was interesting because about the same time I drove my first electric car, which was that lovely. Manus can put some video in of it. Actually, it was the City Strummer, the Volkswagen Golf. So it's based on the VW Golf. This was in like the late 90s, and it was based on the VW Golf, and it was from memory something that they'd done with just the local electricity company in Germany, and there was a little one of those whirly plugs that came out the front under the number plate, and it blew my mind a bit. I found it really fascinating. And then I also drove a fuel cell car out in Japan. It was a Honda fuel cell vehicle, and looking at those two technologies then, you would have bet on either of them winning the race. And I know there are still loads of people out there, and you're probably writing comments immediately, that still think hydrogen will win the race. So that is an interesting move, I think, from BMW.
Yeah.
The big issue is where they're going to fuel them, because we've got I think there might be 2 or 3.
I think wasn't the one shut down recently?
There's loads have been shut down recently. I think there's either 2 or 3 left in the UK. You used to see, odd places where you could do it, but that demand has just shrunk. Personally, I still think it's going to be heavy goods vehicles, haulage, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, I almost get scared of talking about it because it makes people so cross.
Yeah.
Why does it make people so cross?
I don't know. I think people have been convinced. My dad is convinced hydrogen's the future and that it's the way to go. But maybe because you can still burn things with it. I think they think they can just have their internal combustion engines and burn hydrogen in instead.
So much many problems with making green hydrogen. I don't actually want to talk about it because I know I'll be making people angry. Should we move on?
Let's move on.
Let's move on.
Yeah.
Let's talk about. But do let us know if you want to join us in the debate. We might talk about it again if we're not too scared to do so. Right. What else? What's going on? Where are we? What should we talk about? News. We've done news. Oh, okay. What I said at the top. Our game shows. Not like,
Yeah, I was thinking game
hey,
shows.
welcome
Come on
to,
down.
no,
Yeah,
come
yeah.
on down.
Yeah.
Welcome to Family Fortunes.
Yeah, I think game fairs.
Mr. and Mrs. Be nice to each other. Do you remember? No?
No.
You do remember Mr. and Mrs.
No, I'm not.
Yeah, you do. You do. Anyway, not those kind of game shows. Country fairs. Those kind of game shows. Are they the new motor shows?
Yeah, it's interesting, this, isn't it?
It is. So we had a comment from Fred Blogs. Just going out on a net there, I'm not sure that Fred Blogs is actually called Fred Blogs. Maybe you are. But it sounds to me like it might not be your real name. But anyway, Fred says, many years ago, I first saw a Tesla at a game fair. And I know quite a few people who purchased one after that. On Sunday, I saw an Amoda E5 for the first time at Frampton County Fair, which was a surprise. I had a sit in it, like most of what I saw, apart from the big centre console. Noticed the spare wheel and tyre looked to have had a lot of use, so presumably it's had a puncture and been swapped at some point. Forgot to look though to see how many miles it had clocked up. I guess several thousand by the look of the spare. Unfortunately, couldn't go on a test drive or get any info as the staff had buggered off and left the neighbouring Isuzu stand to take inquiries. Then I returned later in the day to see if they were more interested in, actually having a talk, and they wouldn't even make eye contact. They're not going to sell many at that rate.
Oh dear.
Agreed, but isn't that interesting that actually this is where car makers are targeting now? They are showing cars at country fairs. And then this also, because this came from the story about, was it Mike that saw the Ineos at the local Lidl?
No, it was a viewer who saw it.
A viewer who saw it, okay. And okay, so we had another one though, which made me laugh.
Yes, so
With reference to seeing posh cars at Lidl.
Lars Menken said about cars and car parks, you can see much more expensive cars at Aldi and Lidl than at Tesco and Sainsbury's. That's because your neighbour can see onto your driveway, but they can't see into your fridge.
It's so true, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like all the people you see in Aldi and Lidl, and they've got their Marks and Spencer's bag for life. You don't see people in Marks and Spencer's with an Aldi bag for life, do you?
No, you don't. You don't. But they have some great stuff in there, don't they?
Oh, in the middle arm. Yeah,
So
love
good,
it.
love it.
Yeah.
But it did make me think. I just would motor shows. We're going to them. I'm going to a motor show, and they're a curious thing now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So I'm going to the Paris Motor Show in a couple of early October, second week in October. And it used to be really exciting, the thought of going to motor shows. And I can remember the British Motor Show would be a thing that, I knew loads of people that didn't work in the industry, not going for work, that would want to go. But they just don't seem to happen anymore.
No, they don't do that. I mean, I think these newer brands like Amoda, or the Tesla as it was then when Fred was going to the country fair, you need to make it seen. You need to, people like to prod and poke these sort of new brands, don't they? They're not going to see one on the road otherwise. So perhaps it makes sense. But perhaps the newer brands just don't think they need it.
Yeah.
Internet, 3D, our fault for doing YouTube videos on
also,
cars.
and this is the thing, is that we know, because we get emails in from people who have just watched various videos from us and then made a decision and gone and bought the car without the test drive.
Yeah.
Which is really interesting. But I would love to know, what is the most unusual place you've seen or tried a car that you've gone on to buy? Was it a mate's? Was it Leaf Street, like at your...
In my village,
Leaf Street is a brilliant video that Nicola did. I think it's still on the YouTube channel. You tell the story, because it's a great story.
So I first had a Nissan Leaf 12 years ago now, and people were like, my neighbours and people down the pub were, it's an electric car, that doesn't work. And somebody it does, and I'd explain it to them. So there were some other people, my neighbours, who went and bought one, and then their neighbours went and bought one, and then their neighbours went and bought one, and now my village is full of electric cars, especially Leafs. Although somebody's just swapped one. Somebody from the Leaf, they bought a Tesla Model 3.
Have you banned them from the local...
From the local Leaf owners club.
From the WhatsApp group?
The word spread. So I think there are more electric cars in my village than any of the neighbouring villages, just because everybody's spoken about it and knows that they work for them.
So come on, let us know. Have you bought an electric car on scene, or any car on scene, because of just reviews? Have you bought one because you saw it in the shopping centre or at a game fair or because your neighbour's got one? I know I constantly, in my village, I regularly get people knocking on my door because they know that I do stuff with electric cars, and that people will either knock to want to see the car that's outside or just to ask me questions about it. So I think people do like that, actually talking to somebody.
Yeah.
Anyway, let us know. We'd love to know.
You get a lot of charging points, don't you? You get a lot of that when I'm charging, people come up and ask me about the car.
Yeah, but then they're I get that at big services and things. But we're often in new cars, so people maybe not seen them before. Anyway, I have a question for you, Tom, from Barry Potter. Hello, Barry. It's a question about leases. They all have a 6 to 12 monthly down payment and the monthly payments. Does this mean that you pay, say, 48 months plus the down payment, or is the down payment taken off the total at the end of the lease?
Yeah, so you it's like a deposit, so you have to pay that and then you pay the monthly deposit, so the monthly fee. So you will see on all of the leases on our site, it has a total cost of the lease. So that will be what you should really look at if you want to know what the price is. So you can bring your monthly cost down by making the deposit larger, which you might do if, say, you've got a trade-in. Say you're selling a car, you can put that over and then your monthly payment's less. Or you can have a 0 monthly payment on some of them and then quite a high monthly payment. So, yes, you have to pay that. It's gone. But you can adjust it if you need to.
Cheers to that.
Everything I do... Oh, we haven't
Let's rehydrate.
Everything that I do on the site and on here is with the same, which is a 6-month down payment, 3-year deal, and 8,000 miles a year. So everything's like the same benchmark, unless I mention otherwise. So,
good.
Should I do a deal of the week?
Do a deal of the week. Why don't you do a deal of the week?
It's another one that's come back.
Okay.
It's the Aura 03.
Oh God!
So
how low has it gone now?
Well, it was weird because it was kind of 170 quid a month.
Yeah.
And then it disappeared, and it was like 280 quid again. And I thought, oh, they've sold out, but they've clearly found another field and gone home.
Damn, we forgot about that.
More. Yeah, so it's £168.69 a month. So that's a 6-month deposit. So 6 times that as your deposit.
So that's about 900 quid, a bit less.
It's more than that.
No, is it?
No.
My mum's. Go on, how much is it? So
£168.69 a month.
Okay, so that would be roughly 1,600. It would roughly be about 1,900 a year. So half of that is about 1,900. It's about 950. I'm going for 950 roughly in my head.
Times 6 equals
mental arithmetic.
What do you reckon?
I reckoned about 950.
It's just over £1,000.
Oh, I was close.
And then £168.69 a month for 3 years, doing 8,000 miles.
It's a good way to get into a new car.
I know. I mean, imagine you're driving £1,000 banger, you sell it, you've got £1,000, you put that down as a deposit, and then 168 quid. You're spending 100 quid a month on fuel, 30 quid a month on tax.
Yeah. And particularly if you can charge at home, that really works, doesn't it?
That does really work. So that's £10 cheaper than a Leaf, which was previously the fire sale car. But it's £20 less a month than a Dacia Spring.
Oh gosh, really?
Yeah, no, isn't that nuts?
I mean
that's the cheapest car.
That is a lot more car for your money than the Spring. I mean, I do think the Spring is really cute, but I think you would have to, you'd have to forego, your couple of pints or your few coffees or whatever you think, your poison is just to. Yeah. That's amazing.
Yeah.
The question that I can't find, and I can't find who sent it in, but it was making me laugh so much when I saw it was. Here it is. I found it. Rob Smith.
I thought it might be the Rob Smith one.
Go read the Rob Smith one out. It's so funny.
There needs to be a game of how cheap does a Capri have to be to tempt you to buy one. In my case, I'm thinking less than £10,000, and even then, I'm not sure in reality I'd actually do it.
Shall we start the game? Right, come on. Let us know in the comments below, how cheap would the Capri need to be?
I'll say something controversial.
Oh, go on.
I think possibly we're being a little harsh on the Capri. Now, I know it's a Capri and that's the wrong name, but they've got a lot of publicity out of it. But it's not a hideous car and it's probably not going to be a bad car. So if you forget about the Capri thing and you forget the fact that it's slightly dull and generic and looks like some other cars, I think it will be all right. So I don't think it's going to be a terrible car.
Okay, Tom. You're in.
You just got a downer because it's Capri. And if it wasn't Capri and it was called the Ford Oogie Boogie 2000, then you'd be... It's all right.
Do you know what bothered me the most, I think, was the fact that it was so lazy that it's actually got the same doors and wing mirrors as the Explorer.
Mm.
That's what kind of just bothered me about it. Yes, the name bothered me because it's quite clearly not a Capri.
Mm.
But it was just the fact that you just got in and you went, oh, it's an Explorer, isn't it? And then I looked and I had one of the design team next to me and I said, they're the same doors and mirror. And he was like, yes, but nobody else has commented on that. It just felt lazy, that was all.
Well.
And it's fine. It's fine. But I'm going to jump ahead to some comments because, where are we? In the... we had loads and loads of comments about that Renault 17 that you talked about. That again, I have no idea what that was. I'd never seen it before. Very niche. But so many people said, like Jim Ross, that the Renault R17 looks far more like an original Capri than the current Ford Capri. It's what should have made. Chris Hunter looks more like a Capri than the new Ford Capri. Honestly, so many people love that car. Linkard 1000 said that Renault concept it's freaking gorgeous. It is. It's beautiful. Caps on. Yeah, loads.
I think the problem is that they don't sell. So there will be a few people who buy it, but nobody buys coupes anymore.
Maybe that could be the car to change it. Maybe. Oh, did you hear a distant bong from the bell?
Yeah, it is the bell.
Was that our warning?
Yeah, a warning.
So we film. I wish we could turn the camera around and show you, but we'll never be able to reposition it. So we film here in Oxfordshire, and it's normally great, apart from the fact it's next to a railway line, which gets those really massive freight trains that go on it. There's also a clock that chimes throughout, as we've just heard. And for a very, very long time, there was a cockerel.
Oh, yes, the cockerel.
And the cockerel, my goodness me, the number of quite long pieces to camera that used to ruin. And then suddenly one day it disappeared. And we never really got to the bottom of why, but I do suspect...
I think it's Manos.
Manos? I do suspect Manos of foul play. I don't really. Please don't send in nasty comments.
No.
Anyway, but yeah, there was so much love for that car. Do you want to move on to some more comments? What other comments have we had? Anything that's caught your eye?
Well, there was one who was comparing it to a Renault Fuego, and I've got an interesting Renault Fuego. Do you remember the Fuego?
Vaguely.
No?
It's like a smaller version of the R17.
No, it was the one that replaced the Renault 17.
Okay. Renault Fuego. Let's have a look at that one.
Oh, yes, here we go. It's Stephen Laurie 7819 who says, in France, Renault 17 was a success. I loved it. The Renault 15 was the same shape, but with normal sideway windows. I'd love an electric Fuego.
Do you know what? I like it. I'm just looking at it now. Some pictures of it.
Now,
it's nice.
I have a fact about the Renault Fuego, which will be very useful in a pub quiz.
Okay. You always want Tom on your team in a pub quiz, by the way.
It was the first car to have remote central locking.
Was it?
It was. And remote central locking was invented by a guy called Paul Lipschutz. Yeah?
Yeah.
And this gave the name Plip, because it was shortening of his name, Plip, Paul Lipschutz, Plip.
What a great fun fact.
Yeah.
How often do you think you've used that fact in your life?
Too many times, probably.
Really?
Yeah, it doesn't work in dates.
Honestly, is that not how you wooed your lovely wife Lisa?
No, I didn't.
Do you know which was the first car to get a seatbelt?
Got to be a Volvo, wasn't it?
Any idea which one?
P1800? 122?
If you want to have some guesses, have a guess now, and at the end of the podcast I will reveal which car it was. Let's crack on. What other comments have come in? Let's have a quick look.
There was somebody who said that the Skoda Enyaq would be ideal for the university trip. Yeah, I agree with that. There was actually a Skoda Enyaq there doing the drop-off, just not me, unfortunately.
Maybe it was indeed Matthew Tyler Jones who messaged in to say, I'm actually taking my son to uni in my Skoda Enyaq. So if your son is at Leeds, then it could well have been you.
Could well be, yeah.
And obviously, great choice of car.
there's some stuff about free energy, because I was talking about. In fact, I was away when Octopus were doing free energy this weekend, and I was gutted. I was going to get my neighbours to break in and plug things in. But yes, anonymous PDG 6121 says, interesting, British Gas have been doing peak save Sundays for months, where between 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. electricity is half price. During the Olympics, they extended this to 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Sunday suddenly became car charging, washing, lawn cutting and electrical appliance charging days. Then I've just had an email today to say they have a peak save event on Tuesday between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m. where all electricity is half price. Good job we're retired. The washing machine will be on again.
I just wish I was that organised in my life. Could you just set up a WhatsApp group for us all entitled Free Energy? And when you know there's free energy, just tell us all to go and
go and plug in.
Or maybe we just start putting it out on our social channels. Like there's a post, Tom's Energy Post, when it's free, team.
Yeah.
Mark Dearden is obviously down with this as well. He's just watched this during his lunch break. This was the last week's podcast. Whilst charging 2 cars, doing laundry, heating hot water and the house on free Octopus electricity, feeling smug. And I can understand that. We're a low-income household and have run a Nissan Leaf for the past 7 years to save money. You're getting lots of messages.
Yes.
So professional.
Yeah, sorry, I've turned it down now.
We got it at 2 years old, paid off the finance entirely out of fuel savings. I mean, that is absolutely brilliant. By a large margin, it has cost less per mile than any other car we've used. So if you're short on money, an EV is the answer. And that is just such a great example of really making that whole thing work.
Yeah.
If you're organised and you take advantage of it, and also you're able to do it.
Yeah. Oh, it's the same for us with our Leaf. It's just been such a cheap car for us.
Yeah. I just want to jump back to talk about university cars and tip runs, which was this made me laugh from Dave B. I did a tip run in an EV6, which I thought was a bold car to do a tip run in. 30 bags of soil with the seats down and a plastic sheet for protection of the interior. Handle it like a champ. That's a lot of weight.
That is a lot of weight.
And why are you taking 30 bags of soil to the tip? That was really intriguing. Have you been digging massive holes to bury things in, or I don't know? And then one for you, Tom. Roderick Hewson. I'm a total Tom Barnard. I always get told off by a person in high-vis jackets at the tip.
No, maybe it's just my tips. It's just tips. Yeah.
More recently, they refused to accept an EV charging cable. They said I'd have to take it to a scrapyard.
Why are you throwing away an EV charging
cable?
They're 100 quid, aren't they?
Yes, in fact, why are you throwing away soil and EV charging cables? People pay good money for both of those, And free cycle, that's good.
What, you're rid of soil on free cycle?
Yeah, I need some soil, actually.
Oh.
What a shame. Could have just organised it. Anyway, I get told off at the tip, but the best car I ever went to the tip in. Do you remember I had that BMW i5 earlier this year? Yeah. Took that to the tip. It was fabulous.
I can't believe you've ever been to the tip. I've seen your garage.
well, I have to take some stuff every now and again so I can put more stuff in it. So I went to the tip with that. Back seats down. It's got a massive boot. So absolutely cavernous boot. And it was all great. And I was cramming stuff into the boot. The boot was packed. I'm quite small. The boot's really long. I had to get somebody to help me to come and get the things out the back of the boot because I couldn't reach them.
This would be good.
This would be a good tip car. It would be a good tip car.
Surprisingly big boot.
Anyway, so yes, that was all good.
So I talk about Tassie EV, who's telling me off.
Oh, go on. What have you done now? Hi, Tassie EV, because Tassie's a regular.
She says the only comment I'd make is V to H, not V to G, is a better option. As grid providers and legislation in some cases, as grid operator needs to be ready, whereas V to H means your house is covered when there's a power outage. Fantastic to see Nick back as well. Awesome to see her back on the podcast.
We love Nick.
Thanks, Tom. Batteries don't need replacing, engines do. There's a Model 3 in Canada with only 500,000 kilometres on the clock, original motors, etc. Well, like this one.
Like this one today, exactly.
The V2H thing, I think that's true, that it is going to be the easy option for the future where your car's plugged in, and if you have a power cut like I had last week, then I won't notice. A bit like your laptop when your power goes out because it's plugged in. But I think V2G has got to be the eventual goal, hasn't it? Even if it's just for your neighbourhood that they're just taking the peak off by taking the car's power.
I think when you talk to anyone involved in that high level power management, it is going to be a really important part of balancing the whole grid. So yeah, eventually, but we are, as you said, we're not there. We're not there yet, but I think absolutely, it's going to have to be a really key part of what we do. So I just want to say hello to Kenya, because we had a lovely message from Kenya. Love your content, watching from Kenya. The EV market here is a bit behind, but I like following your early adopters' experience. It's going to make it easier for me once I get to that stage. Just wanted to point out that Suzuki is preparing to launch their first EV, the Suzuki EVX, which indeed they are, but we've not really heard anything about it.
No, we haven't. I looked it up. It looks like a relatively interesting thing, but you just think they'd take something else and rebadge it like they're doing with...
But the problem is as well, we heard a lot about that about a year ago, and I haven't heard anything since. Have you?
No, nothing at all. So where is it, Suzuki? But is it going to be in time for this year to meet their targets, or will they have to do it on hybrids, or will they just pay a fine on every Swift they're selling? I don't know.
Exactly. I have absolutely no idea how long we've been talking for, but part of me feels that I should perhaps return to that earlier question, which was what car had the first seatbelt, was fitted with the first seatbelt that you could buy, and it was the Volvo Amazon. Which
was the 122, which is what I called it.
Okay.
I was right.
Okay.
Let the record show.
Okay. All right. He always wins on things like this. He's so bloody smug, honestly. Don't ever disagree with him on anything related to geeky old cars. So, on that note,
yes.
So check out our used listings for some great bargains on used cars, because those prices are coming down. Please do subscribe to the channel if you aren't already, and switch your notifications on so you know when all our videos and stuff are landing. And if you are listening to this on one of your podcast platforms like Apple or Spotify, whatever, give us a follow and drop us a rating and give us some nice stars, because that all helps, and we want to carry on doing the podcast, don't we?
We do.
So from both of us in our very old, well, not very old, but our high mileage,
baggy,
our slightly used Model S. See you next time.
Bye.
Bye.